start, please raise your hand if you are somebody who recycle on a regular daily basis. All right, I see that only a few of you actually do so. But for me, I actually have to admit that I am also one of those person who really doesn't recycle that often either. It's not because I'm lazy or anything like that. It's because it's kind of inconvenient for me to do so. But you see, the thing is, I used to live in the States for almost 4 years, and while living there, I noticed that everywhere I go or everywhere I am, there are trash cans that has been divided into different categories like plastic and paper. And since it is literally everywhere, I can just throw my rubbish inside the correct bins and I'll be done with recycling. But when I moved back to Vietnam in 2019, one of the things that I noticed was that on the street there are not that many trash cans and people would just throw their rubbish down to the sidewalks. But today, I do not want you to focus on those negative things. I want you to focus on a new positive change, a huge impact that could make the difference to not only our environment, but also our economy, scavenging. The term scavenging in Vietnamese is dom nát. It doesn't really cover the whole meaning behind the concept of dom nát in Hanoi, in Vietnam. Dom nát in Vietnam is something so much more different and so much more special. It is something that makes us distinctive from other countries. So, what exactly is scavenging? Well, it has been there since the period of the French colonial regime from the 19th century. And to go on a scavenging hunt is to go out, look for anything that is usable from discarded waste. In the past, children would pick up used bottles, clothes, books, anything that is old but still functional to exchange them with candies. But now you can exchange them with money, which I think is a win-win for us because not only can you earn a little pocket money, you can also save yourself from doing all of the recycling works. From the city to the village, there are countless images of women with panniers full of scraps, riding their bicycle around, chanting all over the streets, "Ai đồng nát sắt vụn bán đi," and asking people to give them or sell them their scraps. To join scavenging, you will need a vehicle. In this case, this man chose to use a scooter because it is more accessible for him. But from my research, I found that 99% of scavengers in Vietnam still prefers to use a bicycle because firstly, it is obviously cheaper and more affordable because you don't have to pay for gas and fuel. And secondly, they can get into small alleys. Scavengers now do not only collect things like aluminum cans, plastic bottles, cardboard boxes, but they also collect old furniture and kitchen equipments like refrigerators, pressure cooker, or even a couch. Scavengers also take time to pick and go to trash cans and anonymous waste piles on the roadsides. Most people who work as a scavenger is due to the nature of their job being manually labor, not having high requirement for health or education level, and they are people who need time flexibility. After 1945, scavenging was admitted to be an official career, and people who were working as a scrap purchaser also had to pay taxes just like everybody else. When I told my teachers and my friends about this fact that scavengers had to pay taxes, they were surprised because they didn't know that, and I'm sure that some of you guys here also just found out about this because we don't really pay attention to scavenging, so therefore we don't really know what's actually going on behind it. One day, while I was doing a project about the environment, I accidentally stumbled upon this article which were talking about how scavenging was such an insignificant job, and the article was literally degrading scavengers. This angered me a lot because I think that scavenging is actually contributing a lot to not only our environment, but also our economy. But we rarely notice it, we rarely pay attention to it, and most of the time, we make judgments too quickly. To understand the current situation better and to give you insights about scavenging, I have read recent publication reports. I also conducted videos, surveys, interviews. I even got a consent from a real-life scavenger to give you guys and to tell you guys the truths behind scavenging. And what I found really surprised me. The treatment of domestic solid waste in both households and in the industries have two main characteristics. First, in big cities, huge amount of waste are being produced every single day, especially in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, which are the two biggest cities in Vietnam. Second, there are complex and fragmented collection, sorting, and disposal systems that requires the help of many workers, often from the informal sector. Cities in many developing countries are facing difficulties with collecting and recycling the increasing volume of urban solid waste. With 96.2 million people in 2019, Vietnam was ranked third among the most populous countries in Southeast Asia, just after Malaysia and the Philippines. Among the top 5 economies of the Association of the Southeast Asian Nations, Vietnam leads with a GDP growth of 6.7%. Over the past year, along with the social and economic development, the rapid urbanization and population growth has contributed greatly to the amount of waste generation. Currently, Vietnam is facing difficulties with the amount of waste being produced every single day. Nationwide, it is 61,000 tons a day. In urban areas, it is 37,000 tons a day, and in rural areas, it is 24,000 tons a day. Although less recognized by public authorities, informal recycling still plays a major role in the waste management in many developing countries around the world. With the rapid urbanization and population growth in Vietnam, the volume of local solid waste, CTR, is increasing substantially. Waste collection, including buying, picking up, and selling scrap, has formed a network of informal scrap dealers all throughout the urban and the rural areas. The activity of scrap collecting, in other words, Dom Nat, originated from a small village in Nam Hưng Yên for more than 100 years. Originating from just small activities with just a few individuals, now scavenging has become a very popular activity and is present in all localities in Vietnam. With the fact that it is attracting a lot of workers from many different backgrounds and areas, and in addition to that, it is bringing a lot of income for many households, it has been proved to be an in-demand service for the society that will continue to grow and expand over the coming years. Scrap collecting activities work in parallel with the collection units. From waste sources to disposal sites, recyclable materials are sorted by residents, garbage collectors, and scrap collectors, and then they will be moved and sold to those scrap collection units. After being sold and moved there, their scraps will go in a final sorting and therefore will be transferred to different companies for different uses. It is estimated that the amount of scrap purchased by the junk network is up to 30% of the total amount of the urban solid waste. 7,500 tons of waste are being buried at the Nam Son landfill in Hanoi every single day from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. With 1,000 tables, there are 10,000 scavengers working hard, earning money, trying to collect and sell and buy scraps. And unlike in France and Japan, whereas they take 2 hours for you to recycle, and it also will cost you an amount of money, in Vietnam, not only can you earn money by doing so, you can also save yourself from doing all of the hard work. This proves that the scavenging network in Vietnam is so much more developed, so much more advanced, and so much more convenient than any other parts of the world. Now, I'm gonna show you an interview that I did with a real-life scavenger. Before I filmed the video, she specifically asked me to conceal her identity because she has 3 children and she doesn't want them to see the working conditions of their mother, and she doesn't want to embarrass them. To respect her, I have kept all of her words and her voice in Vietnamese, and I have provided English subtitles for foreign audiences for you to understand more about the truth behind scavenging in Vietnam. Please enjoy the video.
Bình thường thì bác hay mua những cái loại rác như nào ạ?
Bác thì mua những các cái đồ sắt vụn với cả giấy tờ thôi, mấy cả nhựa để họ về họ tái chế lại.
Thì sau khi mà bác mua cái thì bác sẽ chuyển nó về đâu ạ?
Sau khi mua thì bác sẽ bán cho các đại lý họ thu mua sắt vụn.
Mỗi Mấy cái đấy thì bác sẽ nhận được bao nhiêu tiền sau khi mà bác
Thì tùy theo, ví dụ là bác phải mua được nhiều hàng thì mới có mấy bác mua được nhiều hàng mà bán thì nói chung là nó cũng không được nhiều đâu. Chắc là có ngày thì được một vài trăm, cũng ít thôi.
These informations are real and authentic. It is all based from her personal experience. With all of that being said, there's also something very important that I must explain to you about, which is the EPR regulations. EPR regulations stand for Extended Producer's Responsibility, and it is a legal management tool that based on the principle that the polluter must pay. It also helps to collect and cycle end-of-life products for the different manufacturers, and it is mostly applied to manufacturers and companies. The EPR regulations will be invalid starting on the 1st of January 2024, and after this regulation will be invalid, I think that people will start to take recycling and scavenging more seriously. There is a saying that everything has its own price, so consider this as me giving you a head up. Remember to follow the laws and the rules when it will be invalid, or else you'll be fined heavily. The EPR regulations will only be invalid and will be effective with the government role to help. The government role here is to consider, investigate, and understand the characteristic, the nature of scavenging. And by doing so, I think that the management tool will be more effective and it will be taken more seriously by not only the companies, but also the citizens. Well, with all of my research about scavenging, I actually have also done a little reflection on myself. So as someone who doesn't really recycle that often, from now on, I will make sure to actively classify and recycle trash at home. I will also raise awareness about scavenging to my friends, family, my beloved one, my community by many different approaches. And I will also try to participate and join in projects of sustainability and projects to help the environment in the future. Even though there are a lot of benefits to scavenging, I cannot deny that there are also drawbacks to it. Because everything has both sides, both good and bad sides. But I think that with everyone helps and everyone putting in efforts, we can definitely change the scavenging network in Vietnam and also make the environment better. So what are you waiting for? Let's all join hands together to make the world a better place, not just for you, but also the future generations. Thank you.